the gray light of a dawn not yet decided whether to break or simply observe our world bled across the eastern sky, painting the crags and ancient, gnarled trees in hues of bruised purple and cold steel. Beneath that indifferent gaze, I stood before the rough-hewn shrine of Yog, my breath plumbing visible in the pre-morning chill that clung to the black river lowlands. The altar, a crude affair of stacked stones and dried mud, bore the stains of countless offerings, blood, ash, and the desiccated remains of lesser sacrifices. It served, but it was not enough. Not for the visions I now craved, not for the power I knew lay waiting, just beyond the veil. Today, we would change that. Today, the bones of the Darfari would pave our path to deeper communion. Around me, the faithful gathered, silent but for the soft creak of leather and the rattle of spear shafts. My brethren, men and women hardened by the unforgiving wilds, and bound by an unbreakable devotion to the Lord of the empty abyss. Their faces, scarred and stoic, reflected the same fierce resolve that burned within my own breast. We were not common brigands. We were instruments of Yog, our purpose inscribed in the very fabric of our being. This raid was not mere plunder. It was a sacred hunt, a pilgrimage of steel and blood, to harvest the very essence required to elevate our altar, to deepen the wellspring of Yog's favor in our desolate corner of the world. Look upon them, I had told them last night, gesturing towards the crude effigy of Yog, its maw-like opening forever hungry. Our Lord demands more. His whispers grow louder, his shadows longer. But to truly hear his truths, to wield his full, terrible might, our conduit must be strong. The Darfari, with their frenzied fealty to their cannibalistic spirits, their bones imbued with a primal savagery, hold the key. They are a twisted mockery of proper devotion, and thus, their essence, once consecrated, will be potent beyond measure. A low murmur of agreement had rippled through the gathered cultists. They understood. To serve Yog was not to cower, but to embrace the abyss, to become its extension. This was our destiny, our glorious, terrifying purpose. We sought not comfort, but power, not peace, but profound, unsettling truth. Upgrading the altar wasn't just piling more bones. It was preparing for a true apotheosis, a physical manifestation of our growing bond with the elder god. It was a promise of visions untainted, of strength unyielding, of a place in the cosmic horror that was Yog's domain. Now, as the first true slivers of sun ignited the distant peaks, I raised my hand. Swords, axes, and spears glinted in response, held high. For Yog! My voice, though not a shout, carried the weight of our shared faith, echoing off the ancient rocks. For Yog, came the unified, fervent reply. We moved as one, a shadow snaking through the pre-dawn gloom. The journey to the Darfari camp was a familiar one, though never without danger. The jungle growth, thick and suffocating, offered both concealment and peril. Every snap of a twig, every rustle in the undergrowth could be a predator, beast, or man. But we walked with confidence, for Yog watched over his children. He sharpened our senses, quickened our steps, and dulled the fear that might otherwise grip lesser men. My own heart beat a steady, powerful rhythm, not of apprehension, but of anticipation. I could almost taste the fear, the primal energy that would soon be released. The Darfari camp lay nestled in a muddy clearing, a haphazard collection of wattle and daub huts, bone totems, and the lingering stench of unwashed bodies and burnt flesh. Smoke, thin and blue, curled from their cooking fires. They were a crude people, these Darfari, lost to the true glory of the primordial darkness. They worshipped lesser demons, spirits of hunger and disease, not the ultimate, all-consuming void that was Yog. Their very existence was an affront, a testament to wasted potential. By taking their bones, we were not merely reappropriating resources. We were purifying a corrupted energy, focusing it towards its rightful, terrible master. We approached from the shadowed eastern flank, the one they rarely guarded with diligence, convinced that the impenetrable forest was protection enough. Fools! Nowhere was safe from the will of Yog. My scouts, swift and silent as forest cats, had reported their numbers, their layout, their weaknesses. They slept oblivious, their crude drums silent for once, their raucous chants stilled by the false promise of night. No mercy, I whispered to the warrior beside me, a hulking brute named Cathar whose loyalty was as thick as his muscles. He merely nodded, his eyes alight with a dangerous gleam. Mercy was a weakness, a concept alien to the true path. Yog offered no mercy, only truth, only essence. The signal was a low, mournful hoot, a sound indistinguishable from the jungle's nocturnal chorus. And then we struck. The initial moments were a whirlwind of sound and fury. Startled screams, the shriek of steel on bone, the guttural roars of my brethren. I led the charge into the largest hut, the chieftain's dwelling if the size and grotesquely adorned entrance were any indication. The Darfari, despite their surprise, were savage fighters, their frenzied desperation lending them a momentary strength. But we were disciplined, united by a purpose far greater than mere survival. My axe, an ancient, well-hewn tool passed down through generations of Yog-devoted shaman warriors, bit deep, splitting bone and sinew with each precise, powerful swing. I moved through the chaos with a cold, almost detached efficiency, guided by the sacred hunger within me. This was not a mindless slaughter. It was a ritual in motion, each blow a prayer, each life taken a step closer to communion. My brethren were equally relentless. Swords flashed, spears thrust, and the distinct thud of blunt weapons finding their mark echoed across the clearing. The Darfari, once they realized the futility of their resistance, tried to flee, diving into the treacherous jungle. But we had them hemmed in, our lines forming a lethal crescent. We were not merely killing, we were collecting. Each fallen foe was a potential offering, a necessary piece for the great work. "To the pile!" I roared over the din, pointing towards a cleared space near the riverbank. My followers understood. This was not about trophies, but about sacred materials. As warriors fell, cultists armed with bladed tools swiftly moved in, not to loot, but to harvest. The air grew thick with the stench of blood and viscera, but to us, it was the heady perfume of sacrifice. The bones, stripped clean with practiced, horrifying efficiency, were piled carefully, treated with a reverence that would shock any outsider. These were not mere remains, they were the building blocks of our greater glory. A particularly large Darfari warrior. His face painted with grotesque symbols, lunged at me, a crude bone knife flashing. He roared, challenging, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and savage defiance. I met his charge unflinchingly. This was the raw, untamed essence we sought. With a parry and a swift, upward thrust of my axe, I found his throat. He gurgled, falling to his knees, his lifeblood spilling onto the churned mud. A potent offering indeed. His skull, I decided, would crown the new altar. The fight was swift, brutal, and decisive. Within an hour, the Darfari camp lay broken, its fires extinguished, its people silenced. Only the moans of the dying and the guttural sounds of my brethren at their grim task disturbed the newfound quiet. We had lost 3 men, valiant sacrifices who would join Yog in their own way, their spirits perhaps to become part of the great tapestry of the outer dark. Their names would be remembered in our chants, their sacrifice honored. As the sun climbed higher, casting long, stark shadows, the pile of bones grew. Femurs, ribs, skulls, clavicles, each piece a testament to our resolve, a promise of power. My heart swelled, not with pride in victory, but with profound gratitude to Yog for guiding our blades, for blessing our purpose. The journey back would be arduous, burdened by our grim harvest, but it would be a march of triumph, a procession towards deeper understanding. Back at our own sanctuary, the true work would begin. The old altar would be dismantled, its stones rearranged and consecrated anew. The Darfari bones, cleansed and prepared, would be cemented into its very structure, their savage energy now bound to Yog's will. The new altar would hum with a dark, potent energy, a beacon for the Lord of the empty abyss. My visions would sharpen, my communion would deepen, and the power I had tasted would become a tangible force, a tool to reshape our world in Yog's image. This raid, this bloody ritual, was not an end but a beginning. It was a testament to our unyielding faith, a vital step on our chosen path. We, the children of Yog, would rise, empowered by the very essence of those who stood in our way. And through us, Yog's dominion would expand, his whispers echoing across the land until the very void itself sang his name. The future, dark and glorious, awaited, and we, his faithful, would forge it with bone and blood.